Friends, if you think that all the scientists in our world have discovered the truth about paranormal activities, then you are absolutely wrong. And in life, at some point, we all have heard about ghosts and spirits, and sometimes we even start feeling that ghosts and such things really exist. Because sometimes, when we are sleeping, it feels like someone is holding our throat tightly with their hands, and it feels like some parts of our body are being held down with great force. This must have surely happened to some of you. And this has happened to me many times. Even when I try to scream, no voice comes out. You all might be able to relate to this. It is said that when a person dies an untimely death, like by hanging themselves, drowning in water, or dying in a car accident, then their soul doesn't find peace. And the place where someone dies becomes their dwelling, and their soul starts troubling people. And there are some spirits that even kill people. Friends, whether you believe it or not, even though our world's scientists have become very advanced, there are still many things that even scientists do not understand. And friends, don't think that ghosts are of only one type. Ghosts are of many kinds. And today I'm going to tell you about such a ghost that you might not even believe after hearing about it. There is a state in India called Bihar. This story begins from there. There is a story from Bihar that even today sends shivers down the spine of the older generation, and that story is of the water demon. Now, many people might be thinking about Kappa. Let me tell you, Kappa is a creature found in Japan. It is found in rivers, ponds, and many other places where there is water. This creature drags people into the water and kills them if they are near water. But this water demon is different from the Kappa, and it is even more powerful. If someone mistakenly enters its area, then consider that they won't survive. In today's video, we are going to share the story of the water ghost with you. There was a village in Bihar called Darwari. This village is completely dependent on agriculture. People here do their farming work and live their lives from the grains they get from it. Everything was going well in the village. Everyone was busy with their work. Some were doing agriculture and some were doing other work. But the villagers do not know what is going to happen to them next. You and all of us know how important and necessary the rainy season is. If it doesn't rain on time, it can cause so much loss. So something like this came to the village. It was dry, and that too between March and April. Rather, it should rain during this time. Friends, let me tell you that there is a lot of difference between today's time and the time before. Earlier, the rains used to come on time, but now they do not come on time, and there is not as much rain as before. All this is happening due to big manufacturing industries and cutting of trees, and more due to brick industries. Because this smoke is having a great impact on our environment, and that is why the rains do not come on time and the heat is increasing day by day. This is exactly what happened in this village. It was the month of March. It was dry and the heat started increasing gradually, but the villagers somehow collected water from ponds and rivers in the fields, and small grains were sown in the fields. As of now, there wasn't that much problem. But as days passed, the heat started increasing, and after that people of the village started getting worried, because due to extreme heat and drought, the grains started getting spoiled, and there was no water available. And the water of all the ponds and rivers also dried up, after which there was chaos in the village. The villagers thought that now we will die of hunger. And many people started crying. There was a miserable environment in the village, and there was no means of a borewell so that water could be drawn out from the borewell and water could be sipped in the fields. This is because the village had not yet developed properly. The villagers thought that now they can do only one thing, that now Lord Shiva can help us. So the villagers did the same thing. There was a big Shiv temple in that village. Everyone used to worship the Lord together for many days. And they make many good dishes and offer them to God, and they eat together. They had been doing all this for 10 days, and when it was 11 days, one morning suddenly a black change happened in the sky. And after that it rained, so heavily that nothing was visible around due to the rain. This rain continued for 3 days continuously. Due to continuous rain for 3 days, the ponds, rivers, and fields got filled with water. The villagers started dancing with joy. The people of the village started their farm work. One of them was Dylan Foster. He had not repaired the field's ridge. He thought that it was not raining, so what would be the use of repairing the ridge now? And when it started raining, he forgot that he had his own field and he had to work on it properly. Then a cowherd came and told Dylan Foster that your fields are filled with water and slowly the water is going to other people's fields. So Dylan Foster suddenly remembered that thing. Then he started preparing to go towards his farm. And the cowherd had told this thing to Dylan Foster at 6 p.m. in the evening. Dylan Foster now prepares himself. After eating food, he takes out his spade and sees that the cover of the spade is cracked. So he starts repairing it, and he does not know when it is 8 o'clock at night. He does not know. So as soon as the spade gets repaired, this man go out towards own cultivate. At that time the rain had completely stopped. And there was no one even at the near, and it was pitch dark. And the winds were blowing very fast. When Dylan Foster coming his field, he lights a torch and sees that the water is actually going to other people's fields. But when he sees such a situation, he gets scared. But he controls his fear and gets busy with his work. Because if the Dylan Foster is not stop the water, there would be no water in the field, and the rice crop would be ruined. That is why Dylan Foster was here. Everything was going fine. Dylan Foster got so busy with his work that he didn't even realize when it became midnight. Dylan Foster had almost finished fixing his field. But still, a little repairing was left, and the place where the ridge was still damaged was quite far away. Dylan Foster started going there. After reaching there, he saw that the water had already reached up to his legs and joints, and in that place there was too much water. Because of the excess water, the field ridge was not visible at all. Dylan Foster was still thinking about how to fix this, and in his mind, he was thinking that if he left it like this, by tomorrow all the water would flow into the river. And if enough water was not retained, the rice would not grow properly. Dylan Foster was thinking all this, when suddenly someone was holding both his legs inside the water, and slowly the pressure in his legs started increasing. At that moment, Dylan Foster immediately regained consciousness. He started looking around, but there was no one else in the deserted area, and the pressure on his legs had returned to normal. Dylan Foster felt strange and scared, and he began thinking, was this my imagination or the truth? After some time, the atmosphere became calm again. So Dylan Foster decided to ignore it and do his work without thinking too much about it. Dylan Foster felt that this must be his delusion, and quickly started digging out big pieces of soil from the field with a spade and began joining them in the damaged field ridge and repairing it. The farmer did not want my children to die of hunger. That's why he never stopped working, but this time, something terrifying happened suddenly. A shadowy figure grabbed his legs, dragging him mercilessly toward the river. Before he could even scream for help, he was pulled under the dark waters and drowned in a horrifying way. The next day, that man's dead body was seen in the river. His body had floated to the surface, swaying back and forth with the waves. Both of his eyes were bulging out. The villagers thought of pulling him out, but after seeing his condition, no one had the courage to do so. But he could not be left like that. Performing his last rites was necessary. Then 9 to 10 people from the village thought of going into the river, but even they were too afraid. Somehow, his dead body was brought out. When he was taken out, people were absolutely terrified seeing the dead body because his eyes had come out and the flesh on the left side of his stomach had disappeared. Looking at him, it was clearly visible as if someone had taken out his flesh with his sharp teeth. Because he had stayed in the water for a long time, his entire body had swollen. Small stones were also stuck in his nose. When the villagers saw his condition, they were extremely saddened.